Good day, you absolute legends. In today's video, we are going to be discussing about the next update, and it is very, very exciting. There has already been some rumors and speculations floating about, and something else that has just happened in game. Now, yesterday, the expedition has ended, and as we know, once an expedition has ended, another must take its place. And it does say right here that there is an expedition gonna be arriving very, very soon, which is absolutely incredible. So what does that mean? What are we waiting for? And how can you guys be prepared for this next update? That's what this video is all about. But also, ladies and gentlemen, in today's video, I haven't got a script for this video at all. It is just a one-to-one, me and you. You guys seem to like it when I don't use scripts. So yeah, I'm going to do this video, no editing, and we'll see how it goes. See how I do this time around. Also, I just want to say this background right here was made for me by the very fantastic ZX81V2, and he sent me this over on Discord. He messed about with the one that I usually work with, and he made this, and I think it looks absolutely incredible. So for today's video, that's what I'm using. But let me know in the comment section, do you love this background? Do you want me to use it again in the future? Let me know. But ladies and gentlemen, before we do get into today's video, can I please just ask you to double check for me that you are indeed still subscribed to the channel? If you need to resubscribe, please do resubscribe. Or if you haven't been watching me for a while and you like what I do, then why not consider hitting that subscribe button? You definitely will not regret it. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot to talk about today, so let's get right on into today's video. So, first of all, Expedition. It has ended, and I went into game earlier on today just to double check, and yeah, it's ended. I'll double check that fact, should I say. So it's just a quick clip. You can see right now there is no expedition running, so that has been confirmed by yours truly. Now, why has it ended, and why isn't there another one yet to take its place? Well, as we know, sometimes there can be an overlap with updates and expeditions. This isn't super uncommon, but it does mean now that we are very much due a new update. As we know, with updates, there is always expeditions, and we don't just get an expedition without an update. So there is a lot of very tasty speculation online. I've covered it over the last week, where we've spoken about Mr. Murray being very cryptic, posting a picture of the clock, saying, talking about AI being in with this clock, and you know, there's a little blue dot there, and it's mad. It is speculation heaven. And right now, ladies and gentlemen, you guys seem to think, and I've read the comment section on it as well on the few videos that I have made about it, and you guys seem to think on the same sort of lines that AI could very well be coming into No Man's Sky. There are a few out there that still think that this might be something to do with Light No Fire, but that's not what we're going to be speaking about today. This is purely No Man's Sky stuff. Now, to me, I still think it's No Man's Sky, and the reason I think that is, well, look at the evidence. We have right now an expedition that's just ended, and we are due now an update to give us the next expedition. With an update, at the very least, we can expect some sort of new eye candy, bug fixes, and a new expedition. Past that, I mean, could very well be the speculation side of it, where, you know, a lot of people are talking about, you know, AI being brought into the game and running, maybe making new missions for us, or just new dialogue and storyline, that kind of thing. I'm really excited to see what the team can do with AI for No Man's Sky, because right now, the gameplay loop right now for No Man's Sky is lacking in many areas, and that's no lie. I mean, I love No Man's Sky. I play it very much on a daily basis. I make YouTube videos about it. My whole channel is more or less dedicated to No Man's Sky. So the problem is once you get to a certain point in No Man's Sky, you've seen it all, you've done it all. But artificial intelligence, or AI, could really dramatically change a lot of things about it. So, for example, AI could be responsible not only for dialogue, not only for conversations. That could literally just be a starting point. AI could be for making new planets, and actually making planets completely unique from each other. Because right now, and it has got better in recent updates in recent years, it used to be the fact of you go down to a planet, you go to the next system, visit, like, say, 5, 6, 7 planets, maybe even up to 10 planets, And then once you've seen one, once you've seen 10, you've seen them all. And, there's maybe some variation in color, but it's all samey. In recent times, I would say that's probably more like you go and visit 100 planets, and then it's pretty much all like rinse, repeat, copy and paste and all the same. Maybe with some like different color changes. Water physics has helped with that narrative a lot. Making waves dynamic and so on makes it feel a little bit more alive. However, AI could dive deep into that and essentially change a lot of things and make it a lot more unique, where every world is truly unique. Everything not only from the world itself, but from the flora, the fauna, the animals, the trees, flora, fauna, same thing, but you know what I mean. It could really dynamically change a lot of things. It could even change things like the weather. It could change a lot of things. So I'm hoping that if they do implement AI to maybe even test the game, then maybe it could go as far as that, and then maybe even give a treat not only to dialogue to NPCs, but actually make NPCs run off AI, where right now they're very kind of stupid kind of NPCs, if that makes sense. They have predetermined points, so they go from point A to point B and back again. They don't do anything else, and they always give the same sort of script. But maybe, we might see NPCs actually playing on worlds, like building bases and so on, like they were actual people. And this, again, isn't too far-fetched, because Hello Games partnered up with a company, I believe it was last year, the year before, and I can't remember the exact name of the company. Can someone do me a solid and leave me that in the comment section down below? But they partnered up with an AI company that essentially was training No Man's Sky AI to play the game as if they was actual people. And they was doing it with a bunch of other games, but No Man's Sky was also on the list. But that's a very fascinating thing, because if AI can actually play No Man's Sky and act like actual players rather than just dumb NPCs, again, it would really change the dynamic of the game, which would be absolutely incredible. But again, these are all parts of the speculation. This is what I've seen online, and this is also some of my own thoughts about it. But what happens next? And that's probably the more important question right now we should be discussing. What happens next is, we know there is an update due. Expeditions just ended. So we now need to wait for the sales. Now, it used to be back in the day that we could look at something like SteamDB over on Google, and that would tell us if the game has been updated on the experimental branch or internal branch ahead of time. So then we know there were changes, then we could report on that and so on. Internal branch changes means that they are updating the game and there is going to be something juicy coming along the way. But due to some internal things and so on, we can't use SteamDB anymore. That's why no one's published about it, because they've updated the policies, so we can't see the internal branch changes. I know, not ideal, but it is the way it is. So now we need to look for other clues, and the one that we all go back to, so especially people like myself that look at signs and signals and, stalk Mr. Murray's Twitter profile probably more than I should, is that we look for emoji drops and sales. Those are the two major ones. Once the sales start happening, and this can happen sometimes before emoji drops, once the sales start happening, so for example on PC, so for example Steam, Xbox Store, PlayStation Store, Nintendo Switch, Mac and so on, whatever outlet you play No Man's Sky on, there'll always be a between 50, usually 60%. I want to say 50, 60. No, we'll go with 60, because the last few times I've seen it at 60%. There has always been a 60% sale on whenever there is a massive update happening to No Man's Sky. Now, when that happens, and we need to wait for 3 dominoes to fall, because it happens on one doesn't mean then we're going to get immediately the update. So we need to wait mainly for the Steam sale to happen, the Xbox sale to happen, and the PlayStation sale to happen. Once all 3 of those happen, that usually is the biggest clue out with the emoji that there's an update and it's about to drop, and usually it's in 24 hours or less when all 3 of those dominoes fall. Now, obviously, let's talk about the emojis. Now, there are a few tiers of emojis. Now, the first one that Mr. Murray always puts out is a teaser emoji. Well, I like to call it a teaser emoji anyway. So the emoji itself could be a skull, it could be anything really, and that's the kind of like a clue on what the update is going to be about and what it's going to be called. Most of the time it's on the money and it kind of gives us a really good clue. Some updates, however, is put really weird emojis that have nothing to do or no connection with the actual update itself, so you need to watch out for that. It's kind of like a curveball, but we'll see what happens this time around. But then the next tier of emoji is the cowboy emoji. Now, the cowboy emoji is a tier up from that. It means that this update is going to be a more sizable update than just a regular, normal-ish update. So, for example, like with the fishing update, Aquarius, we got an update. I can't remember if we actually got the cowboy emoji for that, but we probably did. Maybe not. Like the smaller size updates, the ones that are not like massive in size, but it's like an update until the next one. When we get the cowboy emoji, next level up, it means that it's going to be something bigger. However, there is another tier on top of that, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is the gib emoji. Essentially, it looks like it's what we call the hello gib. It's something that the team have been using for a long while. I don't have any pictures really to show you, but basically it's a face with two hands like that. That's basically it. However, that emoji will also be in play. Now, if it is the gib emoji, ladies and gentlemen, the gib emoji is only reserved for the peak of what Hello Games have to offer. It's only reserved for the biggest updates of the year. Now, we do have Worlds Part 2 already this year. That's going to be pretty hard to beat. For that, obviously, we had the gib emoji. I think it was 2 planet eyes or symbols that he used for the gib emoji, and the whole emoji itself was obviously planets. Now, at the end of the day, if they was to do a gib emoji this time round, I would be very shocked. I would be very surprised. But with if the update itself is going to introduce AI, even though I'd be surprised, it wouldn't be unfounded, because that would be a very big milestone to the game itself, changing its course for, forever. So it would be a very, very, very big change. So again, it could very well be a gib emoji this time around if AI is truly coming into play. But if we think a little bit more in the box and not outside of the box, like I said, the very least, we get eye candy, so things like new armor sets and so on, a new expedition, maybe a few tweaks and changes, and a lot of bug fixes, and a lot of bugs that come with those bug fixes because they've just released an update and the game might be a little bit messy for a while. That is at the very least. That is a normal gib. The cowboy gib for me, going one tier higher, I would say along the lines of it brings something new to the table, something that we've never seen before. Now, that could be anything. Now, in my personal experience, it's usually something to do with the storyline, deeper lore, deeper meaning. So, for example, when we had like the autophages come in and we have the new robotic NPC, or should I say the construct in the anomaly, that was a cowboy emoji. So we see a cowboy emoji, we know that something a little bit more fundamental has changed within the game. But the gib emoji, if I see the gib emoji, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to get super excited. I'm going to get epically excited. Now, when will this update drop? Well, I've already made a prediction already that we are looking at any time really from, I would say, next week or the week after to early next month at the very latest. Now, with the expedition just ending, there's normally about, and we've seen it before when it's happened, I can only draw back off what's happened previously, but when it's happened before, we normally start getting hints within 7 days of the expedition ending. So when an expedition ends, within 7 days, Mr. Murray essentially lights up his Twitter, or should I say X, and releases all the No Man's Sky propaganda. So that can happen, and then the dominoes start falling fairly quickly after that. So, we could see it as quickly as next week as when this update is going to drop. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, it is all up in the air at the minute. It is all speculation. There is the veil there, and right now we cannot see past that veil with the limited information that we do have. But as always, I will be keeping solidly on Murray Watch. I'll be checking it constantly. But if you guys have any ideas or what you think is coming up in the next update, why do you think this update hasn't dropped yet, especially when the expedition has ended already yesterday? Let me know your thoughts, feelings about it, comment section below. You know what to do. And also, ladies and gentlemen, did I nail today's challenge? I think I did a little bit better than the other one, definitely. But yeah, let me know, comment section down below. But yeah, that's everything from me, and as always, my name is Professor Cynical, and I'll catch you all again in the next one. Bye for now.